Hello, this is Coding Gicha for full stack developers. I'll explain sessions which save the current state of a document so you can return to it later in the same state. I prefer to manage session files in the session directory under the .vim directory. I already created a session directory while explaining buffers, but I'll remove it and explain it later. I'll add another page using the tab new command, so there will be 2 pages. I'll also split the second page vertically. If you want to work on the state later, you can run mk_session in command mode, or mks for short. After mks, you'll specify the file where you want to save the session. Since the session directory doesn't exist, saving won't work, and you'll see a message indicating this. You can run shell commands without exiting Vim. In command mode, start the command with an exclamation mark and then run the shell command. In effect, you'll temporarily exit to the terminal, execute the command, and then return. Running shell commands in Vim's command mode is more limited than running them from the command line. Therefore, if you need to process a lot of complex tasks, you can temporarily move Vim to the background and work on it from the command line. Pressing Ctrl-Z will temporarily suspend Vim execution and move it to the background. Let's check if the session directory was created correctly using the ll command from the command line. I installed lsd and set it as an alias for ls, so when I run ll, it runs lsd, not ls. Running jobs will display a list of jobs moved to the background. Let's open the .gicha.org file in Vim. The session file can be located in any path, but it's recommended to use your own pattern for easy retrieval later. I prefer to keep my session files in the .vim/session directory. Since the .vim directory is managed through Git, I've already configured the session directory to be ignored by Git. To add another background task, press Ctrl-Z to exit to the command line. Running jobs now displays 2 background tasks, each with a unique job number. You can terminate a task by typing kill followed by the %job number, but you must actually force it to terminate properly by using the 9 option. Checking the task list again shows that the Vim instance editing the .gicha.org file has been killed. The killed indicator only appears when you check it immediately, it disappears from the list after subsequent checks. The command to bring a background task to the foreground is fg. This explanation has become a bit long. Let's try creating a session again. This time, it runs without warning. Let's check if the session file was created correctly. Let's use the ls shell command to list the files in the session directory. As mentioned earlier, this is more limited than command line operations, so features set for the login account are unavailable, so the ll command cannot be used. You can see that the test.vim file has been successfully created. Note that the settings aliased with lsd are also unaffected. Let's explain how to close all files and open a save session. You can load a save session file by running Vim with the capital S option. The second page you were working on when saving the session opens, and the vertically split windows are loaded with their original structure intact. Let's move to the first page. The vimrc.vim file you were working on is also loaded successfully. Let's add a new page. The new page is added after the page you're working on. In this case, since I added the new page in the first page, it's added as the second page. Let's save the changes as a session. If you try to save to an existing session file, you'll see a message indicating that the file cannot be saved. You need to override it by adding an exclamation mark. Let's close all files and reload the newly saved session. This time I'll load a session while running Vim. You can load a session file using the source command, or you can use the so command for short. The state changed from 2 pages to 3, and it's loaded successfully. Let's close the newly added page, just like I did when I initially saved the session. I'll save the session as a Vim file with a different name. This time I'll save it in the session directory again. After a while, you might not remember the saved file name, but it's helpful to establish a pattern for managing session files. When loading a session file while running Vim, you can see a list of saved session files by entering tab twice after the session directory. The page where the filetype.vim file was loaded is now closed, but the buffer remains loaded in the buffer list. If Vim is running, you can load a session file using the so command. At this point, you can also enter the session directory and press Ctrl-D to see a list of session files stored in that directory. You can easily load a file by entering the first few letters of the file name and pressing Tab for autocompletion. Thank you for watching.